So you know how those lids are, because this is, well, I'm just gonna speak, okay? So this is it. So you know how those lids on those Starbucks cups, they're white, right? And so if you wear lipstick, they get all over the lid. And so then I find myself in meetings if I'm the only woman, and that's kind of, and so I keep taking the lid off and having my cup out so that I don't have that big lipstick mark on the lid. So I said, can we do something about the color of the lid? So that was that conversation.
Hey Ryan, hi, this is Sarah Palin.
Ryan, Donald Trump Jr.
Hogs to win, see you. Hey everybody, I want y'all to check out a fellow Marines podcast.
My name is Ted Nugent, and I got a call from my buddy Ryan F. Samuels, and he wants me to tell you that he's a working hard, playing all-American son of a who is celebrating God, family, country.
Welcome to the Ryan Samuels Show, one of the top political podcasts in the United States, where we have a healthy distrust for government and mainstream media. The Ryan Samuels Show is a raw, unfiltered look at American politics. Follow on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, and all podcast platforms. Here is your host, Ryan Samuels.
Hello, Patriots. Welcome to the show. We are here. We got a great show here today. Kamala Harris just dropped probably the most cringeworthy video of her entire existence. And that says a lot considering the videos that have been out there of Kamala Harris. So the campaign was a complete disaster. It was a complete failure. The American people did not elect Kamala Harris to the office of presidency. It wasn't even close. It was so bad that they elected to just remove most Democrats from office and vote for Republicans. She never stood a chance, and not because she was discriminated against or because it was unfair. It was because she was a terrible candidate. She ran for president. The people did not want her to be president, and then she was hand-selected as the VP pick only because she's a brown woman. She's the textbook example of a DEI hire, somebody who didn't earn it. She was never good as a politician in California. She was not good as a presidential candidate. She was not good as a vice president. And she didn't even go through a primary for the Democratic Party or people to elect her to run for election. She was hand-selected because, God forbid, if the Democratic Party had run delegates and a white man was selected, it would have been discrimination. It would have been racism. It should have been Kamala Harris. They backed themselves into a corner so bad on this DEI nonsense that they shot themselves in the foot, and I couldn't be happier about it. I could not be happier about it. But Kamala ran a terrible campaign. She raised a ton of money and still like over $1 billion, which she brags about in the video, which is even worse when you're trying to understand how they lost. How did this person lose? How did the Democratic Party lose this election? It's really not that hard to understand. She was the worst person you could have picked to run for president. There was nobody out there in the Democratic Party who was worse than Kamala or Camelia. They get so offended if you say her name wrong. Who gives a shite? Shut up. But welcome to the show. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. I have the video here. We're going to watch the video together. We're going to go over the video. We're going to analyze it. But before we do, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Go to buymeacoffee.com/Ryan F. Samuels to donate to the show. We're completely crowdfunded here. We want to make sure we continue to put on great content and a great show. This is my job. I do this full time. I have no other career anymore. It's over. I've moved on with my life. It's glorious. But thank you all for all of the support, and we will be right back after this message from our sponsor. The best thing in life that you can do always is to be prepared. Be prepared for anything with My Patriot Supply, the leading provider of high-quality, long shelf life emergency food kits designed to empower you and your family to stay self-sufficient during any crisis, ensuring your safety and freedom when it matters most. Be self-reliant with high-quality, long-lasting emergency food in your pantry. My Patriot Supply has a variety of options and is always American made. Don't be caught unprepared. Stock your pantry with My Patriot Supply's emergency food kits, providing nutritious meals for weeks. And even when disaster strikes, you cannot rely on society in an emergency crisis. Get your 3-month supply kit right now by clicking the link in the description or scanning that QR code on this screen. The best thing. So, just look at that face. Look at the face. This is the beginning of the video. Let's just jump right into it and start talking about it. It's so cringeworthy. It's the worst.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you. Back at you, brother. You are such an extraordinary leader. And
back at you, brother. Brother. A little bit of a fake accent there.
We have become lifelong friends. I just, in front of everyone, I want to thank you, Tim. You lead with courage. You lead with heart. You see the people. You care about the people. You believe in uplifting the dignity to which all people are entitled, and you do it and you have a sense of fun when you're doing it. But you are an extraordinary leader, and obviously the people of Minnesota are very, very lucky to have you there. But you are a national leader.
Very lucky to have Tim Walz in Minnesota. Who else would have put tampons in men's restrooms? I mean, who would have done that? I mean, when you take that sort of leadership and you place tampons where they don't belong and they don't get used, you are an inspirational leader to the world, Tim. And make sure that you just continue to spend taxpayer money on things that are just wasteful. I mean, that's the whole Democratic initiative.
And a dear friend, and thank you. Noel, thank you for your work in Pennsylvania and all that you did for our campaign. And let me just say to everyone on this call, I am so grateful for you. And I'm so thankful to you. I'm thankful for your love of our country and your willingness to put the work into it. I'm thankful for the faith that you put in me and Governor Walz and our team. And I am thankful because I know your character is such that you're not going to get knocked down. And you're in this fight. And you're in it for all the right reasons. And I know that about you. It's why you're part of this call right now and all the work that you did over those 107 days and even before.
You ever have like an aunt that was just completely trashed at Thanksgiving? Is that not exactly what this looks like? Or after she went to your soccer game on Saturday and was day drinking with your mom, and then she's talking to you after the game, or during, you're having oranges and juice boxes, and this is your aunt trying to pump you up for the rest of the game.
That's your nature. And the outcome of this election, obviously, is not what we wanted. It is not what we worked so hard for.
You got exactly what you worked for. You worked very hard to win, but you did it the wrong way.
But I am proud of the race we ran.
Really? You're proud? Are you really proud, Kamala? You're proud of that? You're proud of an abysmal failure. An abysmal failure. A humiliating failure that will be talked about in history for centuries. This is one of the most notorious elections in American history. You have Donald Trump booted out of office, arrested, charged, multiple felonies over multiple states, including the Department of Justice, to come back and just wipe the floor with you. People are going to talk about this forever. And you mismanaged all of your campaign money. You said dumb thing. You haven't even said one thing so far into this video that we're 2 minutes into that make any sense. And you're proud of the campaign. This is why you lost.
And your role in this was critical. What we did in 107 days was unprecedented. Think about the coalition that we built, and we were so intentional about that. You would hear me talk about it all the time. Being a daughter of parents who are active in the civil rights movement,
Not true.
I know and believe that the best movements that are about progress in our country mean that it's leaders that we are dedicated to the coalition, to bringing people together that seemingly have nothing in common, but have everything in common. A coalition where we bring people together based on a deep love of our country and our understanding that the strength of our country will be a function of our willingness to put in the work, and that we will do.
The strength of our country is the function of our willingness to put in the work. There's no substance to any of her words. It's just, she just dances around a point and it's just all fluff. Like this can, like, have you ever wrote an essay and you didn't have the words to do it? So you'd be like, so in the final words of my essay, I would like to recap the beginning of my essay and then the middle of my essay and then tie it back into the end of my essay. And then this concludes my essay. Just fluff. That's all it is. It's just like, what the hell are you even talking about? What are you talking about?
Do that work with a sense of joy, yes, with a sense of work ethic and understanding it's going to be hard, but it's good work. It's good work to be engaged in a collective fight for America's future.
Who approved this video? Who thought this was a good idea? I'm not surprised. I'm a little surprised she came out and did the video, well, just a little bit, but I'm not surprised of its context. Like it's pointless.
And it means so much to me and to Governor Walz that you knocked on doors, you called friends, you called in favors. You said, hey, I showed up at your softball game. Now I need you to show up at the campaign office. You put in the time. It was personal for you. And you gave all that you could to support our campaign. Because of your efforts, get this, we raised an historic $1.4 billion, almost $1.5 billion.
Where's the money? Kamala, where's the money? You're bringing that up? You raised $1.4 million. You spent it all plus $20 million. You're in debt for $20 million. You didn't even come close to winning the presidency. So where's the money? Where'd it go?
From grassroots supporters alone. The most in presidential campaign history. Nearly 8 million donors contributed an average donation of about $56 to fuel our people-powered campaign. And understand that the work that we did included the work that so many of you here did, which is to talk to first-time voters. Many of you are first-time voters. And to talk about how being involved can make a difference. And that remains true.
What difference did you make? Just a shellacking? That's the difference that you made. That you proved to the world you're not good enough.
And that's one of the pieces that I just want us to please take away. That our fight for freedom and for opportunity and for the promise of America, it included, for example, nearly almost 4 million first-time contributors to our campaign because of the work you did of helping people know that they can be engaged and that they're not outside, that they're inside, that we're all in this together. And that work continues. The work must continue.
That must continue. The work must continue. We're all in this together. You're rambling.
Of reminding ourselves that we have an ability to stay engaged in a way that will make a difference. The work that you all did, it's going to have lasting effect.
On what?
Again, I'll say, the election didn't turn out like we wanted it to. Certainly not as we planned for it to. But understand that the work we put into it was about empowering people. That's the spirit with the work we did. Our spirit and our work was about saying that it is a strength that we each have to lift people up, as opposed to beating people down.
I really wish I could just do an interview and they'd be like, okay, what are you talking about? Who did you lift up? Who did you lift up? Who did Trump put down? She's never been challenged.
It is a strength we have that has lasting effect. So all that work that you did that was about engaging with other people, engaging with perfect strangers and in their face seeing a neighbor, that has lasting effect. It reminds people that there are leaders like you who care and will bring us together. And sometimes in the darkest moments, people lose faith in that. Are there people out there that feel that way? And you reminded people that yes, there are. And there are a lot of us. And that strength cannot be taken from us. That is our strength. It cannot be taken from us. So listen, as I said the day after the election, I still strongly believe the light of America's promise will burn bright as long as we never give up and we keep fighting. And the fight that fueled our campaign, a fight for freedom and opportunity, that did not end on November 5th. A fight for the dignity of all people, that did not end on November 5th. A fight for the future, a future in which all people receive the promise of America? No. A fight that is about a fight for the ideals of our nation, the ideals that reflect the promise of America, that fight's not over.
Who's running the country? Joe Biden's brain is mac and cheese. This woman just has one long run-on sentence every time she speaks and goes around in circles. Who's making decisions? Who is running this country?
So look, we still have a lot to fight for, okay? A future where every American can pursue their dreams, ambitions, and aspirations, where the women of America have the right to make decisions about their own body, not their government telling them what to do.
Just stop it with that. Nobody's buying that. It turns out people buy groceries more often than they have abortions. It's not a form of birth control. For years, people were very moderate. They were like, well, I guess sometimes it can be a necessary evil if the life of the mother is at risk or something along those lines. But to take this far extreme position that they had, that you should be able to abort a baby even after it's birthed, which is true, that people were like, nah, that's just morally wrong. People have always felt that abortion is morally wrong, but sometimes a necessary evil for the most part. But to try to make it that every last one of them is just is wild. And one of the reasons you lost.
Our fight for the rule of law, for freedom for all, for equal justice.
Equal justice. Interesting. How is all that equal justice against Donald Trump going? Dropping all the charges?
For the sacred principle that everyone, no matter where they start out, has certain fundamental rights and freedoms that must be upheld. That's not over. That fight's still in us, and it burns strong. And I know this is an uncertain time. I'm clear-eyed about that. I know you're clear-eyed about it. And it feels heavy. And I just have to remind you, don't you ever let anybody take your power from you.
Here's your drunk aunt at Thanksgiving.
You have the same power that you did before November 5th.
But you don't you don't have the same power because you're going to be out of office and you're done. Your political career is over. It's done. Zip, zilch, nil. Goodbye.
And you have the same purpose that you did. And you have the same ability to engage and inspire. So don't ever let anybody or any circumstance take your power from you. Look, this mission that we have, it takes hard work. But as you've heard me say many times, we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work can be joyful work. And in doing our work, we will remain committed and intentional about building community, building coalitions, reminding people that we all have so much more in common than what separates us. We will be armed with the faith and the fuel that tells us what is possible and then drives us to achieve it. So let's continue to organize and mobilize and stay engaged. And I thank you all. I thank you all. We are all in this together. All right? We are all in this together.
Okay, Auntie.
And on this
Have some more wine.
practical eve of Thanksgiving, I wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving.
Aw.
With the ability and to find the ability at this moment to just remember there is so much to be thankful for.
Yeah, there is.
And so
Like Donald Trump as
I
president.
wish for you that you are surrounded by the people you love and who love you. As you know, I encourage you to be around family in whatever way you compose that family, but to take a moment and just reflect on all the good you have done and all the good you have yet to do. We are powerful, those of us who love our country, and we got a lot of work to do.
Good riddance. Hopefully that's the last time we hear from her. She ran a terrible campaign. I had said it on this podcast. You've heard me. All of you have heard me who have been watching, know that I have said she needed to go on Joe Rogan. She had to go on Joe Rogan. She didn't have a choice. She was going to lose. The early voting had already been in. The majority of votes were Republican. It was looking like Donald Trump was just going to crush it. And she still refused to go on Joe Rogan. Insane. Here is a member of her campaign talking about the polling numbers and how the public polling numbers were wrong and that they were just behind the entire time, which, duh, that's what happens when you pick somebody for their skin color to run without the Democratic Party choosing that person.
When we got in, my recollection is some of that snapped back, but, we were behind.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it surprised people because there was these public polls that came out in late September, early October,
right,
showing us with leads that we never saw. You know, I mean, it was just basically a race that in the battlegrounds was 46-47, 47-48. So that's not where we started. We started behind.
He literally just said that the polls that were getting put out publicly were just fake. That's what he just said. Something we've seen in the last 3 elections of Donald Trump, where he has been dramatically underestimated.
She was able to climb out. I think even after the debate, we might have gained, 0.51. It wasn't a race that moved a lot. And so I think when you think about our own internal analytics, if you have Wisconsin at 47-47, or Pennsylvania 48-47 Trump, let's say, which I think is where we had it at the end, you've got to have undecided break your way more than your opponents. And you've got to get a little benefit from turnout, which we weren't able to do.
You weren't able to do it because nobody thought Kamala Harris was a good candidate. Nobody at all. And the election is over. Donald Trump has won. It was a sweeping landslide. And we have some big things coming our way from this new Republican Party. it just blows my mind that she released that video. That video. Like, what are you doing? Do you really think that is going to help? It did nothing but make you look like a fool. Here is a report from CNN about the Harris campaign advisor and how the Dems are losing the culture.
The root of this mistake actually came very early on. They didn't run a process. They made an excuse of $317 million in the kitty. They kept the same campaign manager and said, we will anoint this faulted, broken candidate who was inconsequential in her vice presidency.
Yeah, that's what we've been saying here this whole time. That she was forced.
Lost in 2019, as you detailed.
They forced Kamala Harris into the election. She wasn't vetted. She didn't go through a primary. And she sucked at the time. It's not like she was some great thing. She's always sucked. She's never been any good.
Complete loser in 2020. Never could articulate anything. Had no compassion for people. And her own advocates, let's not forget this. I remember the minute this happened, I was in Europe. She went on to The View. All those women wanted her to win. They threw her a softball. They threw her a second softball. She was so weak as a candidate, she couldn't even answer that she would do something different. It ricocheted around the world. She was finished.
Well, let me go.
They will never do that again.
Yeah. Would you do anything different than the Joe Biden presidency? Than Joe Biden did? Well, I can't think of anything. Well, how about, I don't know, Afghanistan? How about Afghanistan, where we lost 13 United States Marines for no reason? How about the COVID mandate, the vaccine mandate? How about the economy, the inflation? How about everything? Everything. Would you change anything? My answer would be, I would change everything. I was the vice president. I didn't have the power to make those decisions. Those decisions were left up to the president. I had my thoughts and my input put in, but they didn't take it. As the president, I would have done X, Y, and Z. It's easy. You know his mistakes. It's easy to look back and Monday morning quarterback the presidency, but you couldn't do that because that was part of the deal. You're going to run for president, but you can't destroy my legacy. Even though I still think to this day that Donald Trump, Joe Biden definitely was pulling for Donald Trump.
The vice president was thinking.
Here's James Carville, or the Raging Cajun, who's just a joke. He pretends to be a moderate, but he's a far left lunatic. He's a fellow Marine, which I hate that he's a Democrat like that. I'm pretty sure he was a Pogue air winger or something, but my dad was an air winger, so let's hear what he had to say.
Vice president was thinking about going on Joe Rogan's show, and a lot of the younger progressive staffers pitched a hissy fit. Supposedly the campaign said that wasn't the term of fact, but they did. When you put a campaign together and you hire young people to do work, let me tell you exactly what you tell these people, what I would tell them.
I said it multiple times that not going on Joe Rogan is a fatal, fatal mistake.
Not only am I not interested in your fucking opinion.
Yeah, he curses a lot, I guess. But
not only am I not interested in your fucking opinion, I'm not even going to call you by your name. You're 23 years old. I don't really give a shit. The vice president was thinking about going on Joe Rogan's show. And let me tell you, and a lot of the younger progressive staffers pitched a hissy fit. Supposedly the campaign said that wasn't the term of fact, but they did. When you put a campaign together and you hire...
He's basically just saying that he wouldn't have listened to the young staffers. I mean, of course not. You should have went on Joe Rogan. But this is what happens when you surround yourself with not moderate Democrats. The purpose in any election, okay? This is just a little basic political campaigning. Basic. You have your people who are going to 100% of the time, no matter what, they're going to vote blue, no matter who. That is not the people that you target in a campaign. You're not trying to get those votes. You already have those votes. Same thing for the Republicans. No matter what, there's a portion of the population that is going to vote Republican no matter who's there. They don't give a shit. They're going to vote red down the line 100% of the time, every single time. That's not the people you campaign to. You campaign to the swing voters, the people who are like, sometimes I vote Democrat, sometimes I vote Republican. I vote for the person, not the party, right? Those are the people you need to get out and vote. Because you need to get more votes than the other person. So you have your votes in the bag, and then you go out and get more to fill your bag. That's not what they did. They catered to the extreme far left, but that's what happens when you surround yourself with ideologues who are just so entrenched in bullshit that they don't know what the hell is going on. Thank you very much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe. Describe? Is there a describe button where you could describe the podcast? I don't think so. Listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, Apple Music, anything and everything. We are everywhere. Listen to it on your way to work, on your way home from work. Thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure you hit that download button if you're on the podcast and leave a review, and we will see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to The Ryan Samuels Show. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.